It is time once again to determine the most liquid names in football trading cards today. Who's number one, Stu? JC3 Cards and Collectibles is hard at work every week scouring eBay sales to find the most liquid names in the trading card markets so you don't have to. Who will be number one this week? Welcome back, folks. We are here for a weekly installment of our liquidity list, our top 10 and 10, the top 10 names that are moving through eBay sales every week. We look at the eBay sales data for a period of time. We look at some of the major sellers out there in the eBay market, and we get you some of the names based on volume that are selling the most. And this is a task of getting about 200 players every week that we look at the sales data for. And then we look to add some new ones here and there, see if there's any surprises out there trying to sneak through, right? So we look at that every week. We rotate between the major sports. This week, we are looking at football. Other weeks, we look at basketball and baseball. But this week, we are here for the football. Football is about to become a big deal again. Mini camps started. We had the draft a while back. Before we know it, the season is going to be here. As a high school football coach, I know it's almost time for practices pretty soon. Well, about a month away, we have contact camps starting. So once that happens, the market heats up quite a bit. So let's take a quick peek at what the list looked like last week. We'll put it right up there. Take a good look at what we had on that list, and we can see that the players in the market we've been seeing for a while now, and they stay fairly consistent, right? Like the names on the list stay fairly consistent. What does change, and I'm taking a peek at the list myself here, is who's on top, who's on bottom. But the bottom players sometimes slide off the list, and sometimes we get that middle tier that slide around as well. So we see Patrick Mahomes was at the top of the pile last week. CJ Stroud, Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, Justin Jefferson, Justin Herbert, and Barry Sanders rounded out our top 10 last week. And you can see Trevor Lawrence, Justin Jefferson, they were rising up the ranks last time we talked. They had some sales numbers that were kind of on fire. Bryce Young, Patrick Mahomes came down a bit. So I wonder, is that going to continue for Patrick Mahomes? Does he finally give up that number one spot? Does CJ Stroud surge ahead? Does the GOAT Tom Brady... Wait, did somebody say GOAT? Does Tom Brady find his way up to the top of the list? He's been there before. Will he get there again? And then some of those young guys still. Joe Burrow coming back strong. Anthony Richardson's been surging this offseason. So you never know who may climb up there and unseat Patty Mahomes. But Patrick has been pretty dominant up there. That is for sure. So we are going to take a look at our top 10 this week and see what movement happened. I'll come back after you see the top 10, and we'll talk about that second tier of players as well, numbers 11 through 20, to see who's up and coming and who might be emerging on the next top 10 list as well. So sit back, enjoy the ride, and let's check out the top 10.
Catching the last spot in our top 10 this week, Justin Jefferson. Number 9, climbing one spot on our list. Barry Sanders. Charging in at number 8, Justin Herbert. Number 7, Trevor Lawrence. Number 6, Anthony Richardson. Rounding out our top 5, Bryce Young. Number 4, Tom Brady. Number 3, CJ Stroud. Surging to number 2, Joe Burrow. And still holding the number 1 spot, Patrick Mahomes.
Well, there we go, folks. Another week, another Patrick Mahomes win. At this point, I'm going to pose the question: what would it take for Patrick Mahomes to lose his top spot? Is there a scenario where that doesn't include catastrophic injury? I don't know. I guess if he stopped playing at a high level, that could have an impact, but I don't see that happening. He is the clear favorite. 6,588 cards sold in the last 3 weeks. Glad I said that. I probably need to call that out, right? So when we started doing these lists, we were doing them weekly. We have gravitated into a 3-week rotation for each sport. So these are 3 weeks of sales data. 6,588 cards sold with Patrick Mahomes' picture on it over 3 weeks. That is pretty impressive when you look at number 2 Joe Burrow at 4,446 cards. So roughly 2,000 cards less in that span. Um, so that is domination at its finest, in my opinion. So let's talk about the rest of the list. Joe Burrow's a fantastic surge there, taking him up to number 2. I believe he was 4 previously. Tom Brady down a little bit. CJ Stroud down a little bit, but not tremendously. Couple hundred cards maybe. And CJ Stroud and Tom Brady flipping spots there. You may see a little more of that. I would anticipate if CJ Stroud gets off to a hot start this season, you're going to see him surge up there into that number 2 spot and maybe challenge Patrick Mahomes. It'll remain to be seen how high he can go. But there's a lot of positivity around CJ Stroud and how he performed last year. So it will be interesting to watch. Bryce Young rounding out the top 5 there, holding steady. Anthony Richardson, 3,074 cards. Trevor Lawrence sliding down slowly. I think he's been out of the media. Nobody's been really talking about him much. I saw some content creators talking about it's time to sell Trevor Lawrence. They think he's going nowhere but down. I'm not on that train. I am still a believer in Trevor Lawrence. I liked what I saw at Clemson. I like how he's handled himself as a pro. He's not surrounded by a lot of great talent. And if that changes, I think he could be, dare I say, a Super Bowl quarterback. Justin Herbert still staying strong. He hasn't won anything either. But people stay on his train. Hall of Famer Barry Sanders slid a little bit, but yet still gained a spot on our countdown. Justin Jefferson, big fall down to number 10 on the list. So he had peaked because he got a new contract. That had him in all the media cycles, had people talking about him. That's the impact that we'll see. in the marketplace. When the media really focuses on a player, it'll shoot them right up the list. So Justin Jefferson had a couple weeks up around the middle of our top 10, but he is likely going to slide out of the top 10 by the time we talk again about football in 3 weeks. So keep an eye on that. If he slides out, that's going to open up a spot for somebody else. Trevor Lawrence also is in danger of sliding out of the top 10. So we could potentially have a couple new entries near the bottom of our top 10. And that 2 through 5 range tends to have some movement in it as well. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that. What about the next tier of players? So players 11 through 20, a few that could break through to that top 10 at any time, that have been in the top 10 before and maybe slid out over time. But we will put them up on the screen right here and take a look at them. So we've got guys like Joe Montana, Brett Favre, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, Brock Purdy, Josh Allen, Bijan Robinson, Emmitt Smith, and Lamar Jackson. Lots of quarterbacks in there. Some going up, some going down. So Montana's sliding down a little bit. Aaron Rodgers went down since our last list. But on the flip side, Brett Favre is up. Jordan Love is up. Bijan Robinson, a running back, coming up the list there, and Lamar Jackson. So again, I think some of those guys, they can move a lot. Like Lamar Jackson was a top 10 player at the end of last season, right? As far as our volume, our liquidity list, he would have been in that top 10. He was so fire. But in the offseason, he slid down quite a bit. Get off to a hot start in the 2024 season, he's going to shoot right back up there. Aaron Rodgers was injured all of last season. If he gets off to a hot start, pretty sure he's going to shoot up this list. Joe Montana, Hall of Famer, he can bounce up into that top 10 at any time. Gets in a media cycle or something, I could see him up there. Jordan Love, potential to be in that top 10 list as well as the season gets underway. Brock Purdy has had some time as a top seller out there as well. So these are guys that are not too far away, anywhere from 2,100 cards sold over the last 3 weeks to 1,700 cards sold the last 3 weeks. Not that far off. So you can imagine there can be a lot of movement in these guys. And it's a nice collection of Hall of Famers and current players, but quarterbacks definitely are dominating there. And then if we go outside the top 20, there's some guys that could make an appearance in the top 20 as well, like a Dan Marino. A Jamar Chase was, I think he might have been at the bottom of our top 10 a month ago. And he's down to like 22 right now. So he could certainly shoot back up there again. CMC Christian McCaffrey, couple hot games. He could shoot up there. Caleb Williams, boy, when that draft ended, he was hot. He was approaching our top 10, and now that has cooled off because the draft hype has gone down. But start out hot in the season, he's gonna rocket up those charts again. Bo Jackson, right in the middle of the pack in like 21 through 30. You never know when he might make an appearance in the top 20 as well. A little surge of cards here and there. He's a tougher one, though, because he doesn't get in the media too much anymore. He's kind of a quiet guy. And the media hype really helps to shoot it up there. So, all right. There is our review of our top 20 and a little bit into our top 30 as well. So there you have it. That is our review for the week. Our top 10, really top 20, we talked about most liquid football players in the trading card markets. Tell us what you think. Do you still enjoy this content? If you do, we'll keep pumping it out. Smash that like button so we know. If you've got players you've got questions on, put them in the comments below. I do my best to try and answer those as quickly as possible. I enjoy looking up some players that you think maybe I missed. We have had viewers occasionally identify a player and say, "Hey, I'm surprised this player's not in there." And I look them up. Sure enough, it was an oversight on my part, or somebody I didn't think of or didn't see recent sales of, to make me prompt me to go out there and check their volume. So if you think I missed somebody, it's possible. Put them in the comments and I'll look them up. If it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button so you know when we put new content out. A couple PSAs. Remember, every Wednesday night, Stu and I, there he is, we join Adam over at the Dollar Box for the Dollar Box Live, 8 p.m. Central, every Wednesday night. We spit some news, some knowledge, and some nonsense. Stu always brings plenty of nonsense about the trading card hobby and being a low end reseller. We really enjoy doing that. It's a live interactive session. And then also, coming up this September, our very first Green Bay Goat Card Show at the historic Riverside Ballroom. We're excited about that. We continue to put information out there. Tables are selling out fast. We've been open for business just a little over a week, and we've already sold about a quarter of our tables. So if you are a dealer and interested in selling in our Goat Card Show, make sure you reach out. I'll put the flyer right up there so you got some contact information. Super excited. It's fun going through the process of setting up a card show. It's great dealing with all the dealers out there that want a table, learning what they're selling, how many tables they're getting, working with the venue to set up a spectacular layout for you, working with some additional vendors to give you more options at your local card show. So, would love to see you out there either as a dealer or as a buyer. Come on out, it's going to be a good time. So, that's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back at it working on a list for baseball. So, keep an eye out for that. Also, got some pickups content that's been coming out pretty steadily. If you enjoy watching that, putting some of that on in the background while you're working through your day, we'll try to keep giving you some of that content as well. So until next time, peace out. Take care of each other.